Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this beautiful off-shoulder dress. This is going to be the continuation of my previous tutorial where we drafted out the top part of the dress. If you haven't seen that yet, make sure to watch it before this one so you don't get confused, and let's get started. So I went ahead to cut the top part of the dress using the pattern I created. So here we have the center front piece, the side front pieces, and the back pieces. When cutting out the center front and side front pieces, I made sure to leave half an inch that will be used for joining. I also left half an inch along the top parts that will be used to turn the straps and cape, and I added my 1.5-inch side seam allowance. I didn't do that when cutting out the pattern, and also half an inch along the armhole. Now the center front was cut on a fold, while the side front I cut out two pieces for that. I know you see lining here, but I ended up not using it because the fabric was thick enough, so I decided to just leave that out. Now cutting out the back piece was pretty straightforward. I simply have two pieces here, and I added half an inch allowance on the top part and along the armhole. I already added my side seam allowance when drafting out the pattern. And like I said again, I will not be using the lining you see here. Okay, so now it's time to start assembling these pieces together, and I'll begin with the front. So I've opened up the center front. Now I'm going to open up the side front pieces and place on top of the center front piece like this, right sides facing each other. I'll go on to pin this down, then take it over to the machine and run a stitch from one end to another using a 1/2 inch sewing allowance. I also went on to cut out the pieces for my straps. These are 1 inch wide and 9 inches long. And I'm simply going to fold towards the wrong side, stitch them down, and then turn it back towards the right side. I'll do that for both pieces. So after stitching down the straps and turning it, here's what we have. And here's also how the front piece is looking like. So the next thing I'll be doing is to attach the straps to the front piece. So I'm going to be turning it over to the wrong side. Then I'm going to be placing each strap on the same lines I have for the darts. When doing this, make sure to slant it a little so it sits better on your shoulders. So now I'll take this to the machine and stitch down the straps so it stays in place. And after doing that, here's what we have. Now it's time to attach the back pieces to the front. I already notched the center front, so I'm going to be placing each of the back piece right sides facing each other to the front like this. I'll take this over to the machine and stitch them down on a 1 inch sewing allowance. And after stitching, here's what we have. So I'm going to stop with the top part of the dress for now and move over to the bottom part. And the bottom part of this dress is pretty straightforward. It's simply a half circle skirt. I already have a detailed half circle skirt tutorial on the channel. I'll leave the link in the description for you, but let me illustrate using a piece of paper. So imagine this is your fabric here. First, you're going to fold it in two like this, and this will be the first folding. You can fold along the length or width depending on how long or short your skirt is going to be. And then you're going to fold the fabric again for a second time by bringing this open end to the folded end, just like this. So just bring the open end to match the folded end like this, and then you can go ahead and take your measurements. And you'll be taking two measurements. The first measurement is your waist circumference divided by 3.14 plus your zipper allowance. So just measure around your waist and divide that by 3.14 and add your zipper allowance. And whatever you get from that, you're going to be measuring from this angle right here, from this point, the top point. You're going to measure down whatever measurements you got from the calculation, and just measure all around and connect them together. And then your second measurement will be the full length of the skirt. So when you decide on the length of your skirt, you're going to measure that downwards from the point you already connected. So you can see how I'm placing my tape. You just go ahead and measure that all around and then connect them together as well. And that's it. Now you can just go ahead and cut along those lines, and there's your half circle skirt. So I hope this was understood. So when I did that, here's what mine looks like. This is my skirt, and I went for a full length of 25 inches. So this is 25 inches long. So right now it's time to attach the skirt to the top. Now before attaching the skirt to the top part of the dress, I'm going to be notching the center. So I'm going to be folding it like this, and then I'll create a small notch at the center front. I'll be doing the exact same thing on the skirt as well. This is just to help me align everything properly. So after creating my notches, I'll open up the top part like this. Then I'll be placing the bottom part on top of this right sides facing each other, making sure to align the notches. I'll go ahead and pin this down, then take this over to the machine and stitch them together using a 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So after stitching them down from one end to another, here's what we have. So the top part of the dress is now joined to the skirt. Now I'm going to turn this over to the wrong side like this, and I'm going to be stitching the center back closed, making sure to leave room for my zipper. So you decide where you want your zipper to stop, and from that point go ahead and stitch all the way down using a 1.5 inch sewing allowance. And after that, I'll just go ahead and attach my zipper and then bring it back to show you what everything looks like. So after joining the center back and attaching the zipper, here's what we have. You can see the dress is slowly starting to come together. And now that that's done, the next thing I'll be doing is to work on the cape. Now I'm going to be cutting out the cape the same way I cut out the half circle skirt. I'm just using a smaller piece of fabric, and I folded it the same way I showed you on the paper. So I came down from that point by 15 inches. I marked 15 inches all around, and for the length of my cape I used 7 inches. So you go ahead and decide how long you want yours to be. Okay, so now I'm going to open this up and notch the center of the cape. This will help me to match it to the center front of the dress. Okay, so now it's time to attach the cape to the dress, and I'll be doing this from the wrong side. So I turn the dress over to the wrong side, and now I'm going to be aligning the notch on the cape to the notch on the center front of the dress, and I'm matching the right side of the cape to the wrong side of the dress. I'll go ahead and pin this down, then take this over to the machine and run a straight stitch using a 1/2 inch sewing allowance just for the front alone. And when I was done with that, here's what we have. So now this is the right side of the dress, and you can see how it's looking on the inside. So I'm going to flip the cape over, and here's what we have. So this is how yours is supposed to look like. Okay, so now that we're done with the front, I'll be moving on to the back. I'll go ahead to zip that up, then bring the cape on each side. So this is how the cape will be attached to the back neckline. But before doing that, make sure to fold in the raw end of the cape. So you're going to make a double fold here and then stitch it down, and you do the exact same thing on this other side as well. Once you've done that, you can now bring in the strap underneath the armhole. So you can see how I'm doing this. You're going to bring the strap from under the armhole and place it like this. Then you're going to use the cape to cover it up before running the stitch across the back neckline. So because there's no back dart to guide me, I have to measure out the point where the straps will be attached to the back neckline. So I'll be going with 4.5 inches, which is my bust span measurement. So from the zipper, I'm coming in by 4.5. I'll mark that and then do the same for the other side as well. Okay, so before doing that, I folded in the raw edges of the cape like I showed you. And remember, you're folding towards the wrong side of the cape. So I did that for either side of the cape, and I also went on to finish off the armhole of the dress by simply making a double fold towards the wrong side, but you can also use bias tape to finish off your armhole. Okay, so now it's time to attach the strap. So I'm going to pass this over the armhole, and I'm placing this on the point I marked along the neckline. I'll go ahead and pin this down, then use the tape to cover it up like this. Then I'll take this to the machine and stitch it down. I'll do the exact same thing on the other side. I'll pin down the strap on the point I marked along the neckline. Then I'll cover it up with the cape, then take this to the machine and stitch it down as well. So guys, I've done that, and here's what we have. This is still the wrong side of the dress. So right now I'm going to turn this over to the right side. And here's what we have. This is how it's looking. This is still the back, and you can see how beautiful it's already looking. So when you're done with yours, this is how the straps are supposed to be coming out. Now the final thing to do is to finish up this raw end that will sit on the shoulders. I decided to add elastic to mine just to keep it tight, or you can decide to simply fold it in and let it fall off your shoulders if that's the look you're going for. So this is the final look. It came out so beautiful and I have no complaints. So we've come to the end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if there's any question you have on this tutorial, feel free to ask in the comment section below, and I'll be seeing you in my next video.